So we're here at Cafe Milano. I'm Megan Whittekamp,
And I'm Irene Garcia.
and,
Irene Garcia.
and we decided to do our final interview reflection here because this is where we came.
Cafe Milano.
Yes, Cafe Milano every single day during our lunch breaks, and we really formed a bond, which is something that I really got out of this class that I wanted to stress, and so we thought, why not do it together?
At Cafe Milano.
Yeah.
So what was the meaning and significance to you, Megan, as a person and as a student?
Of this class.
Yeah, this class. You could go first and then I'll go after.
Okay, cool. So I thought that this class was really significant to me because it showed me the problems that Latino students face in education, that they not only impact Latinos, but that they pretty much impact everyone and that like lives in the United States. And I, coming into this class, had I had no knowledge whatsoever about Latinos, or specifically Latinos in education. My attitudes and beliefs towards Latinos and just like their situation in the education system right now has changed dramatically since I started this class, just because I just had so little knowledge about the problem before taking this class. What about you, Irene?
So through this class, I think I learned a lot as a person more than as a student. And as a person, I learned for the first time in this class, the professor or the instructor, Jose, was actually one of the first persons who asked me if it was okay to call me Irene or Irene. It was the first time I was given the option because usually teachers just assume that my name is Irene, and they never really asked me. So this is the first time that a whole class called me by my real name and the right pronunciation, which is Irene. So now I was able to take it outside, and when I'm around my friends, I'm able to correct them or just try to imply it or make it part of my life now, which is something I didn't have before. And I think I also learned to separate my personal story from the other Latinos because my story is very different, and I was also able to separate the facts from personal stories. So not take things so personally, because I feel like that's why change is not possible, because a lot of the policies that are made are because of personal stories or a lot of feelings that are attached to it. And I finally accepted the fact that I don't represent all the Latinos and that I'm an individual, and that was reinforced in this class because I knew that already, but it was just reminded. So it was really nice. So Megan, how did the class contribute to your education as a UC Berkeley student, or how did it change your perspective of Latinos in education, or something new that you learned here in this class?
Well, I actually came to UC Berkeley over every other school that I was looking at going to because I wanted to go to a school that would really make me develop as a human over just like learning. And so that's actually why I decided to come to Cal. And I definitely think that this class has been one of those classes that really reinforces the ideology here at Cal that about helping others. And I, as Irene also wants to, which I think is really cool why we're collaborating on this project, is that I think we have similar answers for this because we both are so interested in the policy behind these issues. I came to Cal because I am really interested in politics, and like right now I'm really active in something called the Student Lobby Corps that we have here, and it's something that I like doing where I go to Sacramento and I lobby for bills that I feel are really close to home. And so I took this class because I wanted to have a better idea of why such bills are and policies in regards to education are in place. And I think that this class has really helped me on that, and it has shed light on a lot of issues that I had no idea were actual issues, like banning bilingual education. I had never even thought about that being an issue. What about you, Irene?
I think that this helped me in my education because finally in a class I'm able to be the narrator of my own story. And I know that we read a lot of personal stories, but I was able to allow myself to be okay with being the one who tells my story and not have these readings tell my story because, like I said, every Latino has a different story and every person has a different story. So, and I was also, through this class, able to see myself as a policymaker because a lot of the Latino, like the readings had to do with Latinos or minorities, and they were giving credibility because we were reading and we were using them as facts. So I can see myself in them, and I think that it reminded me of how much we need Latino advocates to be out there in the field.
So, what issues and questions have you thought most about as a result of taking this course?
I think I've been thinking a lot about bilingual education because I feel like we've touched on it lately, and so
Yeah.
I actually went through it, and so I was reminded of that, and I was able to realize how much we need to reinforce culture and ethnicity in these students, and not put it aside, but incorporate it into the education, so then it feels at home, you know, because it's not just going to school, but going to school to learn about yourself as well and your family and your culture. So I feel like it's very important.
I've actually been thinking about the same thing, and I actually said it in class a couple days ago. But all that's running through my head right now is when I have kids, will I send them to a bilingual school? And I definitely think that now my answer is yes, because like why would it hurt the kids? You know, I think it benefits both sides of the story so well. And same thing, I just also have been considering like what kind of policy changes can we implement to like further the opportunities of not only students in our education system but specifically Latino students, and looking into the banning of the bilingual education here in California. And actually, I was doing some research, and it looks like on the 2016 ballot there will be a proposition to take the ban away. So that's really interesting. What risks have you taken to really further and push yourself in this class, Amanda?
Well, I've never taken a Latinos in education or anything that has to do with Latinos or Chicanos, an ethnicity course in this university. So it was the first time, and I was a little afraid of how overwhelming it could be to have my story be out there, and especially because a lot of the readings remind me of home or remind me of my story. But I think that I was able to put my story out there, and the class I really appreciate all of you because you all made me feel at home and made me feel comfortable sharing my story. And I was also able to learn through this class, like I said previously, to put my story aside at times, because at times where I have to remind myself that we are in school and that we're here to critically analyze these readings and to make a change, not just to get so stuck in what I really went through. So, what is one risk you took in this class?
I think that the biggest risk I had to take was just taking the class. To be completely honest, I was very apprehensive, and I was almost dreading taking this class. And I had like knots in my stomach before the first day, because I was just so nervous that I was going to be judged because I'm not Latino, and I had this like notion in my head that when I walked in, everyone would kind of just disregard my opinion because I didn't face the struggle myself, and I know that's totally not the case, and I think that it's also an issue that should be addressed, that like, you know, you don't have to be Latina or Latino to take these classes, or same with like an LGBT course. You know, you don't have to have that suffering to go and learn about it. And I think that's why I wanted to learn about it, because I had so little knowledge, and I want to fix these problems, but I can't do that if I don't know about them. So which readings and class activities really spoke to you?
A lot of the readings were good, and I enjoyed them, but I think the one that most impacted me or just created a change was the film, The Fear and Learning at Hoover Elementary. It was really moving to see that it's actually from LA, and I lived really close to it, and I feel like although it was filmed many years ago, a lot of the struggles are still going on, but I really connected to it because I was also part of the bilingual program, like I said, so it was very similar to what the little girl was going through, but for the first time I was able to see, like, I've never heard of when students actually, a lot of my family members take their kids on vacations to Mexico, and they'll just leave. And I never knew, like, I knew that they would miss out in school, but I never knew the teacher's perspective. And I was really surprised when the teacher was like, well, the parents don't care, they don't value education, and I think that it's really wrong. And obviously I know the other side of the story, which is at times parents don't have the money to go during the summer, and so they go during these times, or maybe they're with an aunt or an uncle, and so this is the only time they get to see their parents. So I was able to see the other side of the story, what teachers think. And it was also really saddening to see how adults acted like children and blamed the students for the bad, I guess, conduct that was going on outside of the school, and how Latinos were destroying their community. But in reality, it's everything as a whole, you know? And it's not the children's fault, and they can't fix everything. Mm-hmm. So what do you think? What's one reading that actually connected with you? really like?
Well, it's a really hard question because I've learned so much that like it's hard to say what ones did you learn the most from. But I really liked the personal history maps that we did. And at first I was just like, oh gosh, like I feel like my life is so boring. But it was a great way for everyone to kind of show their story, and it's just a great reminder of like the space that we're in at Cal. Because it's a space like it may not be demographically diverse, but at least everyone comes from a place of a different story, and I think that's really important and something that I treasure. And then I also really the Baquedano Lopez story, reading spoke to me because it's something that I've experienced. I'm a mentor in Oakland, and all the time I have to try to get the parents involved, and or I'll just I have to get a simple permission slip for me to be able to read with them, and it's a huge struggle, and so I think that improving the relationship between a parent and a school is something that really needs to be addressed.
And I can talk about a little bit that I learned about the Team Teach experience or the co-op community project, and I think that in the beginning, when I first came into class, that was another risk that was out there. I looked around the room and I saw Megan and Blythe, and I was really afraid, intimidated of being judged. But I realized through this co-op community project that that's not how it is. They're really nice people. Megan and Blythe are really nice people, and I was able to share some of my stories with them, and I feel like I was able to create a change. And for them, especially for Blythe, since she works with students, for her to see that maybe she experiences someone that has similar story to mine, which is that my parents didn't. It's not that they didn't want me to come to college, but they were afraid of me coming because it was something new to us. So I feel like this will help her, and it also helped all of us learn from each other. And I learned a lot from Megan as well, because she was talking about DC and the quality of education she received, and we were able to compare and contrast and see, and I was able to get an idea of what I would want an ideal type of education for students would be like. So I was able to learn a lot from both of them through this project, and although most of the time we were focused on talking about personal things, I think that's where I learned the most.
Yeah.
We learned from each other instead of, the project was okay.
I also learned a lot from the community project, and I think that the thing that I really loved is the fact that it was the first time that I was allowed to be creative with no restrictions for a class project in such a long time. Usually teachers give so many rubrics, and I wouldn't be allowed to just make a game board, and I think that letting that creativity flow is how we bonded so well, and I think that will be more effective that way than just creating another pamphlet or another website or something like that. Yeah. That we're putting our creativity to good use, and I think that's something that should be taught in schools as well.
Yeah, and I also think that this is something like our project could actually be used later on, and it'll be accessible to others, and not just a project you do for a class, but something that could be used and possibly be used by many. I hope so.
Yeah, and I also learned that we can enact change so easily in our community. This project. I mean, it took time and it took effort, but it's not that demanding, and it's not we're not changing the world, but even if we impact one person to go to college, I think that we did our job, and I think that's really awesome.
And some topics that we were discussing that weren't covered in this class, or we would like to go more in depth into it, would be politics or policies that are going on currently today. I know we talked a little bit about No Child Left Behind or the bilingual policies that are going on, but we both wanted to go more in depth and maybe have more recent policies that are going on, or what we could actually do about it, because we feel like policy is the way to change, not change, but help education or improve the education here in California and the U.S. in general. Anything else to add?
No, you covered.